Milo TV, bada boom, bada bam, bada zoom.
Yeah.
Milo TV, bada bim, bada bam, bada bam.
Yeah.
Bada zoom, zoom, zoom.
Milo TV, barabim, barabum, barabim. Yeah.
Milo TV, body bim, body bam. Yeah.
Yeah.
Milo TV, bada bing, bada boom, bada bim. That's it.
Bada boom, bada boom, bada boom.
Milo TV.
Milo TV, Milo TV, Milo TV, bada boom.
Milo TV GH Toronto, Canada. Body bin, body boom, body bim. Ear.
Absolute indicator that the system is broken. And not only is it broken, it's dangerous.
Nearly 13,000 international students have claimed asylum in Canada in 2024 so far. The numbers obtained by Global News show that from January to the end of August, 12,915 international students here on visas to study claimed asylum.
12,000 since January is very alarming.
Sunday on the West Block, Immigration Minister Mark Miller revealed deep concern about skyrocketing student asylum claims.
This is a program that aimed international excellence and not a backdoor entry into Canada for whatever reason.
Public Safety Minister Dominic LeBlanc says he agrees after security concerns have been raised in the wake of a recent terror arrest.
I share Mark Miller's view, and I saw his comments on the weekend.
On Tuesday in New York City, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau did not echo those concerns directly, but warned against abusing the system, saying Canada has a moral obligation to help refugees.
Other people using the asylum path as a shortcut to gain Canadian permanent residency or citizenship is something that we need to continue to push back against.
Immigration lawyer Max Chaudhry says better screening of students before they are issued visas would help.
If they make a refugee claim inside of Canada, then it's quite apparent that a lot of the scrutiny may not have taken place when they applied, for example, as a student.
The government says it will take up to 10 days to acquire the data on numbers for previous years, but according to the Globe and Mail, 1,515 international students claimed asylum in 2018, a fraction.
Right, so people, Toronto, Canada, Milo TV. So like people have the notion against international students seeking asylum here in Canada. However, our dear Prime Minister has a different option altogether. What he says is that people who need protection, people who are being chased away from their country, are allowed to seek asylum in Canada. Let's listen to what our Prime Minister says.
We need to make sure that Canada continues to be a place that welcomes in people who are fleeing violence, terrorism, that no longer have protection of their state. That's what a refugee is. That's what an asylum seeker is. We need to continue to be a place in the world that understands not just that it's a moral and appropriate thing to do to welcome in people who have no state, no protections in the country in which they currently live, but it is also good for Canada, and we have seen over the past many decades Canada thrive because of people fleeing violence and persecution. But our capacity to do that means we need to properly be able to identify who needs most help, who is there as a true asylum seeker, and use other people using the asylum path as a shortcut to gain Canadian permanent residency or citizenship is something that we need to continue to push back against. And that's why we are defending Canada's openness as a country by ensuring rigorous processes that are fair and respected. That's how Canadians will remain confident in being a country that is open to people around the world at a time where many around the world are turning backwards. We saw over the past years both post-secondary education institutions and the provinces allow for a far greater number of international students than the institutions or the communities that they're part of could actually hold. And that is why we have made significant steps to make sure that both the absorption capacity of these international students in the communities in which they live is respected, but also we were seeing, unfortunately, a lot of international students being exploited in Canada instead of getting the education and the opportunities that they came to our country for. So making sure that the system is rigorous continues to be a significant priority for us.
We first told you about last week. A refugee from Kenya who's been living and working in Hamilton as the chef for the past 8 years is being deported. This afternoon, he had a meeting with the federal government about the details of his deportation, and dozens of people showed up to support him. Sean Cowan was there and has this report.
No deportation from Mulwa! No deportation!
Surrounded by supporters and community members, John Mulwa just met with Canada Border Services about the details of his deportation. He was told he has to come back in 1 week with a plane ticket for Kenya before the end of January.
You can't say it's good news or bad news. I'll say it is news. Let's just wait for the 19th. But we're hoping for a positive answer.
John came to Canada 8 years ago as a refugee from Kenya. He's called Hamilton home ever since. His end goal would be a permanent resident. The 39-year-old says it's not safe for him to go back to Kenya, and he fears for his life.
I'm already starting to be depressed. I'm going through a lot,
His lawyers have been working on his residency status for the past few years, but they say sometimes the immigration process can be very challenging for someone who is new to the country.
Because of cultural background, some people come here, some because of language and culture, they end up making mistakes, very genuine mistakes. However, the system does not recognize that, and I believe John is a victim of that.
Today's meeting has bought John a little more time. His lawyers say they will be pursuing other legal options over the next couple of weeks, including asking the government to discharge his removal. He has also applied for residency status on compassionate grounds.
I want to stay in Canada, to work, to make my own money, to work with my family, to build my people, to build my business.
John will return to Mississauga on December 19th with his lawyers to meet once again with Canada Border Services, this time with a plane ticket, but he's hoping he won't have to use it. Sean Cowan,
TV Toronto, Canada. Subscribe if today is your first time. Like my videos, comment, and then share. Bada bim, bada boom, bada bam.